Sorry, there's some human hair on the table. I think it's human hair. I'm just, I have a thing about human hair that's not mine. And obviously, I don't have much hair, so it's gonna be never the kind of good hair if it's my hair. I'll tell you that. All right, there. No, it's okay. It's okay. I enjoy doing this. Oh, there you go. No, it doesn't match, man. Hi, guys.
Mike, it's good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
I will say that I owe a great debt to Mike because the success of Luke Cage and his wonderful performance of Luke Cage helped Black Lightning get green lighted that much sooner.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I created the Misty Knight character.
Yeah.
Love the Luke Cage show. It's a great show. We've talked about, that the couple of times we met. We're going to pretty much, unless you have some opening remarks, we can open it up to questions.
No, good to be back in New York City. Even though I'm here a lot, so people always go, oh, people ask me strange questions like, how's the city treating you, stuff like as if I'm here a lot, so it's like a second home. I have a place here, and I'm back and forth. I work on other things, so I'm not really visiting. So I feel like it's like home for me. All right, so go ahead.
So we can just, if you don't have questions, I can ask him stuff.
If you don't ask questions, I'll leave.
Uh-oh.
So just know that. I'll give you 2-minute intervals, and it's like, all right. Well,
there we go. Question.
There you go. Yeah, too black. I mean, it's just I don't know. I mean, there's anything you start too anything, TOO, like what? Too white, too Jewish, too black, too Italian. I mean, did they say the Sopranos were too Italian? I love the Sopranos. I mean, that was really Italian, right? I don't remember anybody on the show. There's some Jewish, I think a couple of Jewish characters on the show, but I don't know that anyone is ever accused of being too Italian. I don't know that anyone's ever accused, Friends of being too white, other than maybe some black people. But they watched. I mean, Seinfeld. I mean, I don't know. Too black. It's always one of those things where I've always grown up, and a common joke is if you see too many black people standing around in general, people are going to accuse you of something like, what are you conspiring? Like, why are you all together? What's going on? It's are you loitering? Because the loitering rule came about specifically to make sure you could just put people in prison for standing around too long, talking. I mean, I've never seen a bunch of white people get arrested for standing around too long, in the same place. So when anybody says it's too black, I find it to be sort of weird and disingenuous, because that's really kind of a weird thing to say, that it's too black. I mean, I just think if you like what you're looking at and you're curious about what we're doing, we definitely want you to watch, and that we had some white characters on the show. I definitely was, when I first started the show, I too was concerned that the Harlem that we were representing was blacker than the current Harlem, because Harlem is a little gentrified now, and I wanted to make sure that we were representing the Harlem that was what it was today. So I can understand people saying that, but at the same time, it shouldn't be a reason not to watch the show unless you don't like black people or something. I don't know what that means. So Okay, anybody?
I'll ask this quick. Because I made my little cheat sheet, inspired by seeing a preview of Breakthrough in the theater, and so I wanted to ask you about some of the stuff you've been doing since Luke Cage. Specifically, there's a TV series called Evil.
Oh yeah. We haven't started filming yet. Actually, we had our first table read last night with cast members and stuff, and it's a great cast assembled. The Kings, Robert and Michelle King, who write The Good Wife and The Good Fight, and are writing this show, and I love working with those guys, and looking forward to this, and hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll be something that gets picked up and that people can get a chance to see. Right now it's a pilot, so we're waiting. We haven't filmed it yet, but it does have a supernatural quality to it, and I think some fans, this is a genre piece. It might have a little bit of that, feel that people might be appealing. I feel like it might be an X-Files, a feel of X-Files to it. So I don't know how much it'll click with the genre fans, but it does have the elements. So we'll keep our fingers crossed and see. But I'm very happy to be a part of the project, and I'm excited about it. As for Breakthrough's a spiritually based sort of project where you have, people are talking about God, the faith, and people who love those kinds of movies. It's a family movie, people, it's not a lot of movies that everybody can bring their whole family, to see, and that's one of those movies. So I think it'll come out around Easter time, so hopefully people will enjoy that. I think it's April 17th is the release date now. It's getting a lot of traction on the internet as far as like viewings. So fingers crossed that'll do well.
I saw the preview, and it looks like a very suspenseful but positive movie. And,
positive message.
And as, of course, one of the things I've always tried to do in my work is include all sorts of people, including people of faith. And it's nice to see that in the movie. Now, what's your role in Breakthrough?
Breakthrough. I play a firefighter who's first on scene to and rescues I would call one of the protagonists. He's the little boy who fell through the ice, as you can see on the trailer. And so it calls into question a lot about faith and a lot about what we believe in and miracles and things like that. So we've all seen or heard about miracles, things that we can't explain. Science doesn't have an answer for it. So this is one of those films that explores that and asks you to ponder, to think, to debate, to discuss your faith, your belief, if you have any, and if you don't, then why don't you have any, or is it now in question that you don't believe? It's something open to discussion. So I think those kinds of films are very, very important. Whichever side of the aisle you're on, whether you're a spiritually inclined person, religious, Catholic, atheist, doesn't matter. Whatever your belief is, I think it's something that a movie I think you can go and enjoy.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, man. Thanks, man. The biggest probably influence for Luke Cage. It's kind of hard. It's kind of like one of those things where I didn't really think that the comic book was going to serve me well, because what we were going to do was try to bring about a more thoughtful, more current character to the screen that was more, based in a sort of modern day realism. The writer always paid homage to the comic books because he was a big fan. And I remember there's one line in season 2 where I say, give me my money, honey. I think I say that at some point. And it was for me. I definitely made sure I threw it away. Like when you say throw it away, like I didn't, because it's one of those lines that people don't talk like that. Nobody says that anymore. I mean, in the '70s they did. Give me my money, honey. I mean, it was a pimp talk. It's like so we do stuff like that as a nod to the comic book and sort of like tongue in cheek, like we're having fun, but we don't put too much on it because it's like that's not what our show is. But I think the people, it's like one of those little things that makes the ears perk. I was like, did he just say, "Give me my money, honey"? Is that what he just said? So I think we've always we were very careful about making sure that we're trying to base it in realism. And for me, the character was always more of a character that you would find in a Baldwin book or a book that was for African Americans who study literature, who think before you act. It's like a lot of people nowadays. I always have deep discussions with people who I don't even know, and some people I know, and I just love having deep discussions about all kinds of things. I think that's why I gravitate towards more drama, even though I love comedy. I just like people to think a lot. I like people to always think, question, like not go through life on autopilot. People always talk about things of like, forgetting where you come from. You're changing. You're not keeping it 100. And I always think that life is all about journeys and changing. So I always go, if you start here and you end up here, there's so many things you should be doing in between. Otherwise, if you're just going to be here and stay here your entire life, what's the point of living, right? I don't mean that, like people who just, I just want you to always, even if you don't move out of one spot, you can stay in the same town, but your mind can go anywhere. You can read books, you can travel in your mind. If you can't afford travel, people, I can't afford travel. Well, read books about India. Read books about, the Soviet Union. Your mind, you have to find ways to challenge your current present day status. And I applaud people who challenge notions of what is real, what is keeping it real, all these things. I always want people to think. And so when I look at, Luke Cage, the first thing me and my showrunner were talking about was like, this guy's not going to use the N-word. Why? I don't know, because, it's one of those things where it's common, but that's just not his thing. You know, that's not his thing, and it's sort of because ultimately it's everybody's thing to a certain point, and you go, well, why? I don't know why, but I just know that for him, he doesn't feel like it's appropriate. He feels like it's something that he wants to leave alone. He wants to leave that behind. He wants to move past that. So I think familiarity is I think it was a line. I forgot. I don't want to misquote it, but familiarity sometimes is what brings us down because we get comfortable in what we know and what we feel and what everybody around us accepts. And if we change that, we're not accepted by them anymore. We're afraid of losing our posse. People who think we're cool. It's like people you have to change, and if changing means leaving those friends away, those associates. If that's what it means, that's okay. I've had a lot of friends in my life, and I just my friends in high school, they changed from high school 1 year to the next, maybe college. I never like just owned them like I'm not going to talk to them again. I just outgrew them, and if I grow them, then I moved on, and I wasn't like looking back with disdain. It was just a part of my life that I had to move past because I had a place I wanted to be. I still communicate with just about everybody I've ever had a relationship with my whole life. I've never like gone, oh, I don't know you anymore. I won't communicate, won't pick up the phone. Number's still the same, right? But I just you just change. So people will change around you, and you don't have to look at that as a bad thing. So I always encourage people to explore the world, even if they can't move. I don't care if you don't have any money, you can't travel. Just think about other society, other culture, other people, because this life is really not just about your specific experience, and it's going to change how you see the world. So I love talking about things like that with people because it's really important. That was a long answer to something that I think. Sorry. I don't, yeah. No, I loved it. I mean, because I knew that people wanted to see it, but I didn't want them to see it that long. And I wanted to have a reason to put it on. Like I figured, like the way we revealed it, sort of the pieces came together. It's like, where are we gonna find those clothing items, and why would you wear them? So it made sense that the tiara was the part of the experiment, and that was there, and the wristbands were there, and then he found he had the chain. The chain was a part of the where did the chain come from? Oh, he broke the chain, kept it on, and used it as a belt from the jeans that he found, and then he had the shirt, the blouse off the clothesline. So you look around now, suddenly you're in the costume. It seemed organic, but at the same time, it's like, okay, Herbie, get me out of this thing. Get me out of this. So I like the way we sort of unfolded. It's good. Yeah. So we'll go back that way. Go ahead. I traveled a lot, and I've been around a lot. Traveled. To me, I mean, to shoot and film, honestly, Africa. Africa. I mean, Africa's, South Africa or Cape Town, Johannesburg, both are great as far as visually stimulating. There's just some wonderful, wonderful landscapes there. But I want to. I mean, recently a lot of people I know in the business have been going back to Ghana, visiting Ghana, checking out their roots. I have to still do this test because I want to figure out where my lineage is. I think Senegal might be somewhere I might want to visit, and the Senegal from New York is in like 6 or 7 hours flight. It's a very interesting city or location. I'd love to shoot something there with the locals and figure because I feel like Africa is one of those things where when it's portrayed and filmed by certain people, they try to portray it as savages and all this other stuff, and it's not. And Africa is just actually one of the more unique places in the world. Full of the most natural resources you can find, precious stones, all this stuff. And somehow it's become a place that people, they go, well, you don't want to go there. And actually, it's a beautiful place, and the people are very, very friendly and very warm and stuff like that. And I want to see that for myself, because ideally, I mean, I'm an African American with some lineage from Africa. Although I always wonder, people always worry about African American. I refer to myself as black because I've never been to Africa. So to say that I'm African American would to me imply that I was in Africa, came here, got a green card, now I'm American. So yeah, you can call me African American. So that's why I get confused sometimes. Yeah. So I'm sorry, and then I'll go. You, sorry. No, you. Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, I wanted to add an intelligence to the character that I think that wasn't there in the comic books. I mean, he was very entertaining, but he came out of of an era of black exploitation that was just that, entertaining, not so thoughtful, more comedic, than anything, more comedic, not to be taken too seriously. Good for a laugh, shucking and jiving, but not necessarily someone who can be a part of a movement. I wanted this Luke Cage to feel like he was part of a current, social movement and a change that was sort of needed for the time. And not so much that, but I guess if we think about him being one of the first superheroes, not forgetting about Blade, but black superheroes, not forgetting about Blade. If Blade is indeed a superhero in that sense, he was just going to be, in that genre, in that vein. He wanted to have some social consciousness as opposed to just being a superhero for the sake of being a superhero. I mean, he could have been a superhero. I mean, but you had Sam Wilson already, who was by and large a superhero, or a hero just for the sake of being a hero. There was no social affiliation with that character, so I felt like this was somebody from Harlem. Made sense. Harlem was a very rich location to actually have the character be portrayed. So you had to sort of use that. All these musicians and artists and writers in Harlem. Like that's what the character should be sort of like. Along those lines. Mm. Yeah, I did see some incarnations other than the one that was in the first 72 version. The Heroes for Hire, that one, yeah. So they brought them along in different incarnations throughout the years, the decades. And I met a lot of the artists who drew different versions of Luke Cage, and the more they drew, I guess those versions started to look more like me than the one they started out with, as far as like the bald head and the goatee at the time. I just thought that for me, I didn't experience a lot. I didn't know anything about Luke Cage growing up because I grew up in a very small rural town that did not have a comic book store. So I just got comic books from my friends and my families. The family members that visited from the north or bigger cities, they brought what they brought, and I read that. And unfortunately, they never brought Luke Cage. It was always Incredible Hulk or Spider-Man or X-Men, Superman, Batman. Never Luke Cage, and maybe because Luke Cage didn't make it there, because smaller markets sometimes is the major superheroes they carry. Maybe they didn't carry Luke Cage because it wasn't maybe it wasn't in demand in that location. Because I'm from South Carolina, maybe it wasn't popular there. I don't know.
If I can just add something to that, I also was a comics retailer for a long time. Before the comic shops, independent distributors had a great deal of control over what got out on the stands. And the further south you got, the less likely you were to see a book like Luke Cage.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Or Lobo or anything
thinking,
like that. Yeah, and that was the comic shops changed that because they didn't care.
Yeah, that makes sense to me because I did not see a black superhero comic book, and that makes it because being in the South, I mean, I grew up in the '80s. Times change, but ultimately, like you said, the farther south you go, people probably, the majority of customers are white customers, and maybe they just weren't really interested or whatever. Or maybe the people who were running the shops weren't interested in carrying the product or whatever. But for whatever reason, I didn't see it. Well, it's not. I would say Marvel. I would say specifically Luke Cage. I mean, I think there were other Marvel shows that after our first season that started to use hip hop. It's like, oh, that sounds cool and it's working. Let's get some of that too. I mean, I would find other shows dropping these scores in or tracks in that didn't really fit, and I was going, why? But because it felt like they were trying to like, oh, okay, Luke Cage was doing this. Let's try and put that song into. Everybody was doing this like you done. It seemed a little forced, and I'm not knocking them, but we were organically doing it because we were trying to tell a story with the music and align it with the episodes. And the showrunner Cheo, Hidari Coker, well, everybody knows he wrote for Source, wrote for Vibe. So he was trying to like, okay, how do I start? What's my in into the character, into the world? The music, getting Adrian Young to compose and Ali Shaheed Muhammad from Tribe Called Quest to compose the music for the scenes. Let them read the script, compose music that matched the tempo of the scene, and then add also songs that he liked and artists that he liked to come perform in Harlem's Paradise. So and so you would see a scene playing out while a performance was going on. It was a very detailed effort to make this help expand the world, not just throw a good song that you like in there because you like it. It just there's a very organic way of doing it, and he did it. So I wouldn't say Marvel did. I mean, definitely we did it, and I think after that, Black Panther's first season, first year of first film. Definitely their soundtrack having Kendrick Lamar, right? I think do the most of the music there, having one artist do, and it turned out great. But I think we sort of opened that door so people responded to it, and just like, wait a minute, wow, not only but they're really capitalizing on the culture in a way that is we haven't done before. So it's like, wow, it worked for them. So we're definitely going to try it, and we're going to try and expand. Yeah, I mean, people talk about it all the time. I mean, it's really, I mean, it's like it's a question people give us, but it's like we don't decide that. I mean, like it's like a Kevin Feige question. That's like it's above my pay grade. It's Alan Fine. Like they own the characters, they have the plan, they decide where the characters are seen and featured. We're actors for hire. We come in, we play the character, but it's not ours. If they want to take the character away and put someone else in that role, or just have the character disappear, it's their character. We're just actors that play the roles, and to what degree that they want to include us in a cinematic universe. I mean, contractually, it's fine. It definitely it's a possibility, but I have no idea whether. Oh, my desire. There was discussion about like the Infinity War. I don't. I think Kevin Feige, maybe, and Alan Fine. I'm not sure who commented on it, or maybe it was the directors. The brothers directed that. Was it the Russo brothers? Yeah. Somebody commented on it and said, we can't. We have no way of really knowing the likelihood that our cinematic fans, who usually watch all of the cinematic films, how much they know, because there's the Netflix, the who's watching, the ratings, all that stuff like that. They just didn't know. They go, hey, well, we put a character in there. We haven't had any backstory in any of our previous films, so we're assuming that if we throw this character in, that people will know exactly who this character is and all that stuff. And that's a fair thing. I mean, if let's say the cinematic universe for whatever reason didn't watch Netflix, kind of hard to believe. But if they didn't, you put one of us in there, Jessica Jones, myself, the Luke Cage character, Iron Fist. Maybe characters go, who's that? And then you have that moment, like well, was that? That's fair. I think that maybe during the snap, the snapping or the snap or whatever, it would have been nice to see us dissolve or not dissolve, just to sort of that. But that's cinematic versus television. So they don't mess with our characters, and we don't mess with theirs. And I guess for them to do that would then affect the television world, because I mean it's just two different universes for right now. And I would love it to sort of intertwine a little bit, but. The desire to do it, yeah, sure. I mean, it'd be awesome if they could. A nice cameo, but the characters have been played in a developed way for a long time in the series. So to diminish is sort of just come in and to go, here's like have a moment maybe with one of the other characters because you just bump into them in the city. It's good, but I don't know if it furthers the character's journey. So I could see doing that or not doing it. It just depends on what the plan is. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wasn't that just all Marvel? All of them, except that Thor, he's in New York City, and or is he? I don't know. Maybe he's in Soho. The whole time he's going up and just like that. As we didn't see, he went up and then back down. Took his suit off and went, down to Soho. The upstate, yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, Queens. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think they're gonna go into a subgroup within the Marvel universe. It's like, okay, guys, we just want to see all the New York zip codes. You know, if you're in a borough of New York, we want you to come and have the. It's like, like really, yeah. That's we're just taking the zip codes of New York City, and if you're outside of New York City, we'll get to you next time. You know, and I don't think they care. Hey. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sorry, say that again. Like Agents of Shield. Yeah, I mean, we mentioned it. We did mention in Jessica Jones something about the event, the green guy, big green guy. We would mention it, but not a lot of detail, just in passing, sort of just to connect, just sort of in a sort of a nod to like, oh yeah, we know of these people, we've heard of these people, the event. But yeah, the TV shows. I think they brought Sam Jackson in, which I think he popped in on Agents of Shield, which shoots in Los Angeles, by the way. It's all really above my pay grade. What these people do and how they do it and why and when. I think practicality speaking, people really talked about like the TV shows. TV shows shooting a TV schedule. We have a 6-month shoot. We shoot a certain amount of time. The movies shoot their thing, but they also start, and they shoot all over the world. Sometimes like Infinity War, they had to go to they were in Atlanta a lot. They were in I forgot London. I think they moved around. So scheduling all these people and actors is really difficult. You'd be surprised how many things fall through just because you can't get the scheduling right. One person's employed somewhere else, and they just can't get that actor to be available, or it's conflicting schedules. And they have what you call a first position. If you're an actor, you get like 2 or 3 jobs. There's a first position and a second position, and no one wants to be in second position because second position means you got to wait for first position to release that actor so you can have them available. So if you can't be first position and you really, it's important to your production, then you have to then pass and find someone else. It's a lot of stuff that goes on that most people would go, really? That's what stops things from happening? Yeah, kind of, sort of, it does. Yeah, just the same universe. I mean, having people read just or just put just even having like overhead, like seeing, I don't know, Iron Man flying overhead. How much is that going to cost us, right? I'm talking to Jessica. Oh, there's Iron Man. Look at me. Oh, there's Spider Man. Right through. That's it.
I have to ask, if I can, the end of the second season of Luke Cage, which I think is one of the greatest hangers I've ever seen. I just love the shot of Luke in the suit, and he's suddenly, in charge of this club. I was really looking forward to seeing how
as was I.
React to all that.
Yeah.
Had that been discussed at all? What was coming next?
Yeah, we got 5 episodes written, and we could see them 5 episodes, and I actually have them written, and they're on the table back there. So when you guys leave, you can have a copy. No, I'm just kidding, you guys. Everybody was like, really? You do that? You'd be surprised, though. I mean, some people, I got to tell you, quick little story. The last episode, Luke Cage, I was at a restaurant. I was down in, I think, Raoul's in Soho. It was like an French restaurant. And I was reading, I was eating, and I was having dinner alone, by myself, lonely, just sitting there reading my paper. And anyway, no, I was kidding. And I was reading the episode, just looking at the episode, the last episode of season 2, and I got up, and I don't remember what happened, but anyway, when I got home, I couldn't find the script. And I was like, what, the script? And I literally thought I had brought it. I couldn't. I was like, all of a sudden I couldn't remember anything. I couldn't remember where I saw it last. Was it on the table? Was it in the car? So I called the service, and I was like, hey, did I leave the paper? And I'm looking around on the street, like walking. I went back to the restaurant. I'm looking on the street, walking around. I'm called the restaurant. I mean, I have everything. I'm like all the things you could think of, and I'm panicking because I'm going, oh, Jesus Christ. what's going to happen if this somebody gets a script and they put it on the internet, and I'm like, oh, this finale, it's the cliffhangers, all these things, and I was really really upset with myself. I'm going, oh my God, I felt so bad, but eventually. I told Marvel, and of course all the people, all their people that are online went out and started looking to make sure that if they saw anything of like that, they would just like take it down immediately, or like cease and desist. Like they were out there, the tech guys. But I did eventually find it, and honestly, I think it was my babysitter that found it, or my nanny or something like that. I don't know where she found. I was like, I looked everywhere. I don't know what happened to it. I can't even tell you. I think somebody took it and put it back, like put it in my house. Like literally, I think somebody took it, read it, and put it in my house. But if it had gotten out, you'd be surprised. I don't know how many people would have read it, because people are lazy. If it's not like already like shot, you know what I mean? Like it's like if it's not like in shot and like filmed and you could see it, they want to see a clip. But if they got to read the script, I think people go, oh, it's a script for season 2, 13 finale. It's like, oh, got to read it? How long is that going to take? Yeah. I don't think people would have bothered reading, to be quite honest. If it can't be broken down to an IG post, I don't think people are going to bother reading it. Think about it. People on IG, they only read the IG post. If the post is long and you can't read it in like 10 seconds, it's I can't. Think about it. How many times you post something that's like a really meaningful statement that actually something good, people can like learn from it, and literally you get the least amount of attention on that thing. It's like words. Words? What is this? Words? Words? Give me a picture. TR. TLTR. Back. I hated working with all of them. Hated it. It's why we're not together. We can't stand each other. It's like a rock band. That's the secret. None of us like each other, and we broke up. It's like Oasis, It's like all of us. We just did. We actually, it's funny. We were doing Defenders. We were traveling to Comic-Con in San Diego, and we were on a plane. Was it San Diego? Well, we were on a plane. Yeah, I guess it was San Diego. And Oasis has a documentary that was out, and I can't remember the name of it, but it was a great documentary. And because we loved Oasis, that was our era. And we were all like, trying to say, well, who's Noel, and who's which brother and who's the drummer? Like we're all arguing about, no, that's me. It's like we're a dysfunctional rock band. No, we all liked each other. We got along very well. So it'd be nice to play with these guys again. Only one, man. Make it. Choose one. I'm just kidding. We'll see how the first one goes. How's that? Oh no, you're not getting another question after that one. You could go with the other one. I don't know, because we already had enough dysfunction, I think, to have another person that was dysfunctional. I don't know, there's only so much dysfunction you can take in one group, and if you have one other person who's kind of doing his own thing, we already had Jessica kind of trying to do her own thing. Her and I don't know we could take another dysfunctional person. And then, the whole thing with guns, I already had to stop. We're trying to stop in the second season. I'm trying to stop, Bushmaster from killing people. He's got a gun. It's like, do you think I'm gonna spend my whole day trying to block bullets from him killing someone that I don't want him to kill? That's pretty much what it'd be like. I'm trying to, be the, good guy and not kill everybody. He's trying to kill people, so I'm basically gonna block every time he shoots. It's gonna get old. I know. I'm just gonna go. Forget it. Do you? I'm not gonna do that all day long. All right, I'll give you the second one. Kingpin. I don't know enough about the Kingpin character as far as like what his powers are. I know he's a brawler and he's a big guy and stuff like that. But I don't know how much. I assume I would. From what I hear on the video game, Luke Cage kicks butt on the video game. He's like beating Hulk up. I don't know how that happens, but he's like kicking the Hulk butt. I don't know how. People video game, they're like, dude, you killing it, killing the video game. Everybody loves you. You killing it. I don't know. All right. I'll go way back and I'll come back up. Go ahead. Oh, of course, yeah. No, we're still the same. Nothing's going on. No, actually, I mean, listen, we have, I think it is a large, you know, delta between the power control element in Hollywood. You know, aside from, you know, Tyler Perry and I think, you know, Oprah, who kind of own their own studio. Trying to think who else owns their own studio. I'm having a, you know, having an issue. Anybody know? Anybody else? Is anybody else who owns this, like owns their own production studio, things like that? I mean, those are like two that come to mind. I don't know if he. I mean, like, because they have a network. I mean, Tyler Perry. Well, owns our own network. She has our network. But yeah, I mean, and I don't know if Lee Daniels has his own. I know he doesn't have a network, but he probably has a production thing. But what I'm trying to get at is that having complete freedom to, you know, even BET now is owned by, not owned by, it's not black owned anymore. I forgot who owns it. Viacom, yeah, I thought it was Viacom owns them. You know, what content comes out is often dictated by an entity that is non-black. And so if you're talking about black content and what we can put out, there's always that element. Sometimes you find allies that are willing to help you tell a story that you want to tell, and then oftentimes you're finding allies that are allies, but they're trying to put the part of the story that's comfortable for them, or at least comfortable for the people that they want to, that their network or their demographic is to sort of make it digestible for them. And in reading a lot of scripts, as I do, a lot of the times I always joke, and I took a lot of meetings after the Luke Cage was over. I took a lot of meetings and talked to people in studios and stuff, and about the next thing I wanted to do. And I remember reading a lot of scripts, and even the ones I really liked, a lot of times, I'm trying to think, there was one or two that I really, really liked that I think and they were written by, there was a black writer, and I didn't have an element that I sort of disagreed with in a very major sense. And what I find, the scripts that I find objectable, or at least they might be great scripts, they're well written, but the end is always, how can we introduce the audience to this black character or protagonist or whatever by giving them something that we feel the audience will identify with immediately. And usually that end is something to do with prison, drugs, or something that's, that middle America, yeah. And I find it hard to sort of, a broken home, even if he's an upstanding character, then his whole family's, all messed up. So they're trying to tell the stories, but also they're appeasing a certain element that understands black people in a certain way, and they're not the Huxtables, they're not looking at them. Give me something that I can sort of feel comfortable as a stereotype, and then I'll come in. And the smart writers are going, well, if I can just get them to come watch, and how can I get them to watch? I'll put a black man, but I'll put him in a prison suit or something. I'll figure something, but I need to get it into the story, and that's the clever way. You got to find a way to get them in. I just wish we got past that, because I don't feel like we have to justify having the black characters start there. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I think it's a problem to have to always feel like you need to do that. I'll go with him first, and I'll come back. Oh, and you, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Conversations that happen in the room of trying to put things into Luke Cage that would overcome those sort of negative stereotypes that are often depicted, like you just talked about?
Well, the origin of Luke Cage was written in '72, so we were already, the story that we started with was the story of the comic book. We had to start with him in prison, in a sense. I mean, that's kind of where the experiment happened. In Captain America, it happened in the Army, and Luke Cage happened in prison. Those are two things that are, sort of opposing forces. One is just, one is like, all American, and one is sort of like, the bottom of America. So that character having to overcome that, even though he's wrongfully accused, as we know, the judicial system, we can go on and on about, how this works and who's in there and why they're in there and all that stuff. We know. I mean, most of us know. After that, we started there. So now after that, it was like, well, what do we have with this character after? And I felt like we were consistently trying to make sure that everything about him was so unapologetically non-urban like I didn't want. He was a reader, a thinker, and someone who could have done something if he had not gotten caught up in the prison system long ago, and then had these powers, and now he has to hide and things. All these things were circumstances that he was not be able to overcome or to get away from. But we knew that Luke Cage ultimately was a good person, and that's sort of what we had to live with. So that was it. We're over time, aren't we? Yeah. Okay. Well, hey, I think that's it, buddy. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everybody. Wait, just 5 words or less. Would you have liked to have done Luke Cage as a 1970s period piece?
No, I would not.
Okay, much everybody. Thank you very much, Mike Colter. Let's give him a big round of applause here. Okay, now he is going, he may be taking a little break at some point because even Luke Cage has to eat food, not just like nails and stuff. But he will be back, and he will be all here all weekend signing autographs and taking pictures at our photo booth and everything like that, and all kinds of 27 8x10 colored glossy photographs, and 4 people in here got that.